Hi guys, welcome back to part 11 of how to make a browser game for dummies. So before we start working on our game, I want to show you another game that Rika made. He is one of the video tutorial followers basically, so that's frigging awesome. He made this game following the video tutorials, which makes me very proud. It's not really an MMORTS, he actually made a MMORPG, which is frigging awesome. You have your character, he has skills, stats, equipment and all that stuff. And with that character you can fight against other characters, but you can also fight against beasts. So that's very cool. So let's quickly log in and show you it. So here's your character. You can give him a name, he has gender, a race, which you can pick when you create your character. He has stats, skills, equipment, very cool. You can just switch that in here. He's also built a forum where you can chat with other players, which is very nice. It's definitely something that a game needs, you know, easy communication. So there's also a market where you can buy items like swords and daggers and armor. Very nice. And he's also working on an adventure feature. And it sounds really nice, actually. I'm very curious what that will be like. I'm hoping something roguelike where you can, explore dungeons and all that stuff. And go level by level. That might be very cool. Anyway, so you can fight against other people. And here you can fight against monsters. So basically, you can select a monster and you will see what you will get. What damage he does. What his stats are. And you can also make sure that you don't die by, setting a limit for your HP. If your HP drops below that, your character will retreat. So for example, right now we are fighting and we won, But if I go again, I won again. But this time, I took too much damage. So I left. I basically fled like a coward. But I did get some experience from that, so that's quite cool. It's still a very simple game, but it's quite cool that you can make something like this with the same code. I'm working on an MMORTS, but he's working on his MMORPG using the same code, so that's very nice. So guys, just to give you an idea what's possible, and it also makes me very proud that you guys really, I'm really helping you guys with these video tutorials. So yeah, that's a very good feeling. Anyways, back to this mess. I've tried to record this episode like 10 times already. Freaking ridiculous, and it isn't working out. So I messed a few things up. If you want, to get to the same point as where I am, you only have to change one thing. Go into your images and edit this image. Basically, open it with Photoshop or your bread roaster, and make sure that the canvas, don't crop, is around your keep image. So basically, it was like this before. It had the same size as the background image. All you have to do is just shrink it till it's around the actual image, basically, where the color pixels are, and then just save it, okay? So if you do that, you're at the same point as I am. Why are we doing that? Well, at this moment, the keep image is a background image, and that's not a good thing because now it's not clickable. We can't do anything with it. So to make it possible to interact with the buildings on this map, go into your code. Open the CSS file, the style sheet file with our code, and actually empty out the keep class. Do keep the keep class. Oh man, that's confusing. Just empty the class out, but keep it. Keep the keep class. Yes. Right. Go into the index file, and inside the div with the keep class, create an image. So arrow to the left, emg src is equal to quotation marks, going to front end, go into images, and then it's keep.png, I believe, and close the image, or finish the image by typing arrow to the right. And now if we save it and go onto our game, there's the keep. And now we can actually drag it around. You know, like an actual image. We can inspect it. Frigging awesome. Okay, so how do we put it on the grass right here? That's very simple. We use margins. So to find out how many pixels we need from the top and from the left, I'm going to use the inspector tool in Chrome. And on the right in Chrome, you can actually style the object client side. So just for once, for example, we can give it a margin to the left, 25 pixels, and it will move to the left, to the right, because there's a margin to the left of 25 pixels. But if we reload, it's back to where it was because it's only client side. You don't change the files on the folder. It's just to debug, just to try a few things like right in this version. So let's actually create two margins. Margin left, 0 pixels, and margin top, 0 pixels. Now let's give it some love. Let's move it. Yeah, let's give it 50 pixels from the left because I want the keep to be in the bottom left right here. And let's give it some margins to the top so that we can move it down. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, 260, that's nice. Or 255. No, 260. Okay, so it's in the bottom left right now, and we need to give it 50 pixels to the left and 260 pixels to the top. So let's do that. Let's go into the style sheet, keep, and inside the keep class, we are going to type margin dash top semicolon 50 pixels and margin left semicolon 260 pixels semicolon. Okay, these are colons, guys, and these are semicolons. I'm sorry. So just save it and reload the page. And I messed something up. It needs to be the other way around. 260. So 260 pixels from the top, 50 pixels from the left. There we go. It's right here. It's right where we want it. Friggin' awesome. Okay, so now let's make it clickable so that we can actually interact with it. So go to the HTML and then before the image, you're going to create a link. So arrow to the left, A, href, source. Wait. Yeah, that's how it was. I'm sorry. I just blanked out for a second. Okay, so href, equal mark, double quotation marks, and then inside of here, http, google.com, and then you are going to finish the URL by clicking, typing in an arrow to the right, and then in Aptana it automatically adds the closing tag, but you are going to cut it out and paste it at the back, just so that it involves, or how do you say it in English, wraps around the image. So now if we go to our site, the keep is clickable, like the little hand pointer appears. And now if you click on it, you go to Google. Okay, so that's very basic but very useful, because now we can make it link to the actual building page where we show stuff like what level is the keep, how much resources does it take to upgrade the keep, and what can you do with the keep, whatever, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's quickly make the resources and the armies panels look nicer. So how do we do that? Let's go into the style sheet and let's actually remove the background color so that it doesn't look like a black panel anymore. That's way better. And let's go into the index file and let's wrap two h4 tags around the titles, like so. So both the resources and the armies titles need to be wrapped by two header 4s. Now if you go to our page, bam, there we are. So now we can display information below here, below these two panels. what kind of soldiers are in this city, what kind of resources are in the city, that kind of stuff. So, let's see. Oh yes, there's something else that I need to show you. Pardon me. I've created a new table that you will also have to create. It's a little bit messy, this episode, but that's because, you know, I restarted recording a few times because, you know, it was just too messy and too crazy. So just go into MySQL and add a table called resources. And inside of there, let me show you the actual table. You are going to have to create the following columns. An ID column, a user underscore ID column, city underscore ID column, planks or clay food. The data type of all those columns are int, and they all have a length of 255. So let me actually change this. 255. The only difference between these columns is that the ID has an auto increment and is labeled as a primary index. That's the only thing. Okay, so what is this for? Well, we need to know how many resources are in a city, who owns it, and which city owns it. So there's a user ID to find out which user owns these resources, but we also have a city ID to find out where the resources are located, and we have two columns for the resources: planks, basically wood, or basically metal, clay to build buildings, food for population, and in here we can give it a number. For example, 60 planks, 20 ore, 200 clay, whatever. You will understand. Okay, so I already created a row with some information. Let's actually quickly delete it so that we are at the same point. So go into your cities table, and inside of here you will have to create a new column. Let me quickly delete this one so that you get the same as me. Let's save it. Remove, save. There we are. Okay, so this is what you have. Create a new column and call it user underscore ID with an data type of an integer with a length of 255. That's it. And then move it up, bam, so that it's below ID. And if you go into data, let's actually remove this. This is what you see. There's nothing in here. Just create a new row inside a row, and don't type something in the ID field. It will automatically increment. It will automatically calculate the number. What you will have to enter are the following columns. So let's find out what our user ID is. Our user ID is 2. So let's actually insert a row. User ID 2, and our city will be called Athens. And resources ID will be the ID of a resources row basically tied to this city. So let's create a row in here. Bam, insert row. User ID 2, city ID, I don't know, let's check. City ID is 2. So let's give that guy a 2. And then we will have 100 planks, 50 ore, 50 clay, well actually 25 clay, 200 food. Okay, very nice, very simple. And the resources table ID is 2. So let's go into cities. Resources ID is 2. Let's leave these two guys empty for now, simply because we don't have a buildings table yet, and we also don't have a production table yet. So I hope you guys can follow along. If you can't, just download the source code from the description, copy it over, because this is just a matter of setting it up the same way as I do. There's not really much you can learn from that. The only thing is that we are starting to tie the database together. So basically, the user is top level. Below a user is a city or multiple cities. You can have multiple cities, but each city has its own resources, which is logical. It wouldn't be possible to build something in a different city with resources in another city, if you know what I mean. That's not logical. So each city has its own resources table, but as you can see, it's all tied together by the IDs, and that's because when you are, you know, grabbing data in your code, when you are selecting data, you need like identifiers, like the IDs. You know if you are logged in as Jeb Coding, then you know that there's a single city with his ID, with my ID, and therefore I have one city, for example. I hope you guys can follow along. I really hope so. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. But yeah, if it's too confusing, just let me know. Anyways, I'm getting a sore throat. Okay, so first, let's actually, before we can select city information, we need to get the user ID. As you can see, we can select this data for each user by the user ID. So let's go into users. How can we select this ID over here? Well, when we log in on the website, submit, we create a session. Let's actually look in here. Like for example, when we check if we want to display the village stuff, we checked if a user is logged in by the session that we created. And if I remember correctly, we stored the username of the user in there. So let's actually quickly echo it. So basically just copy it just for ease and echo it. And then if you go to your site, yeah, there it is, Jeb Coding. So I remember correctly. If we log in, let's actually quickly take a look. Backend account login. Row count. Yes, the details are correct. So when we log in, inside the session logged in, we store the username, which is just fine. Because with the username, we can look inside the database and basically say, select from users ID, but only the ID if the username is equal to the ID inside of the session, if you follow along. So let's set up a database connection. Let's close the style sheet quickly because this is getting into the PHP stuff. Basically, open the registration handling file, because here's a lot of stuff that we can reuse, and basically just copy the database stuff. So from the comment, database comment, select all the way down to the connection check and copy it, go into the index file and overwrite the echo with it and make sure that it's on the same level, like so. So now we are connecting to the database, and then checking if the connection is all right. So let's go to our side and F5, and nothing should actually break. No, it's not breaking, so that's nice. The connection is fine. Next, we need to select the user ID from the database. So let's do that. Let's see if we can copy more stuff from here. That would be nice, because I am lazy. I do remember, I think in the config file, I'm actually selecting stuff. Yes, I am. Okay, guys. Let's see. The connection is fine. Yes, actually start copying from $query to somewhere over here. $logo is equal to row logo. Just copy this bit from the config file and let's go back to the index file. And then below the connection check, you're going to press enter, make a little bit of space for your selection and paste it down. Make sure it's on the same level. Now we have to change the query a little bit because we want to select the user ID. So basically, instead of selecting all these things, we only want the user ID. I believe it's ID actually. Let's check. Let's go into MySQL, users, ID. Yes, we want the ID. So in here, you are going to type the name of the column, which is ID. Select ID from table users, where the username. Username is equal to single quotation marks, and in here we are going to put the session variable. So let's actually create a, like above the query, make some space. Okay, so make a little bit of space, and then below the if statement create a variable called $username is equal to, and then inside of there you are going to put the session logged in. So username is equal to session underscore dollar underscore session, bracket open, bracket close, single quotation marks, logged in, and then close it with a semicolon. And now basically you are filling this username variable with the session. Basically once you are logged in, the session logged in is filled with JEP coding, and now you're putting the JEP coding stuff inside of the username, and then inside the query you are going to select the ID from the users where the username is equal to $username. Very simple. And then you are going to query the query. So use the connection in here, execute the query, and then the result is put in here. You are fetching the result inside a row. So this comment, let's actually call it user data. You can remove the bottom 3 rows, and this guy is going to be called user ID. Row is equal to row ID. Let's see, ID, yes. There's only one thing that you can grab, so just do it like this, it will work fine. So now let's print that guy, echo user ID, bam. Let's go to our website, and there it is, 2, awesome. So now with this little bit of information, with the user ID, we can actually go and select from the cities table, because we now have the user ID. So we can select this row with the user ID and then print a name, for example, of the city. So let's actually do that as well. Let's see, what can we do? Okay, just copy this bit right here from the query to the row stuff with the behind the semicolon, and paste it below here. Put a comment above it called saying get city data, right? Okay, just like this, and query the following. Query select name from cities where user underscore ID is equal to user ID. So put it in there, and then execute the query. Put the results inside row. Freaking awesome. City data, just change the comment to suit your current application. And we are going to store the city's name inside of city $city name, like so. Let's actually remove the spaces from here, like so. That's more pretty. So city name is equal to column name, bam. Okay guys, let's actually print it somewhere. Let's take a look at our website, and it should still work, no errors. Okay, so let's actually print the city's name somewhere. Let's actually print it right in here. Let's actually center it first, so center. Just a quick and dirty way to center a piece of text. It's not how it should be done, but you know, it works. So let's open PHP and close PHP inside of the h3 header tag, and let's echo the city name, semicolon. So echo $city name, semicolon. Go to our website, Athens, there it is. So basically what we are doing is we are, you know, this is definitely not how it should be done, but this is quick and dirty, and this will do what you want. What you should actually do is join multiple tables together, but that's way more advanced stuff that we will get into later. Once again, this is just quick and dirty, and this will do exactly what you want. basically what we are doing is we are cross-referencing multiple tables with each other. So we are pulling the user ID from the table users and then pulling the city data based on the user ID. We will also have to pull the city's ID so that we can pull the resources associated with that city and also the armies and the buildings and all that stuff. But this is just basically how you can cross-reference tables and pull information that belongs together. So yeah, I don't want to jump any further into this for today because, you know, I might actually change my mind a little bit and change it a bit. But if I do, I will let you guys know. And I'm a little bit sorry for the mess at the start of the episode because, well, yeah, you know, the image was weird and the database was a little bit different from yours. But, you know, that's just because I stopped recording for like 5 or 6 times before I actually managed to do this recording. I just wasn't happy with the mess, you know. It probably wasn't gonna be clear for you guys. Anyways, quickly before we end the episode, let's remove this echo user ID. Just remove it, and let's save it. Let's see, is there anything else that we can do for now? I'm just quickly checking. Get city data. Yes, there's actually one thing that we can do. Aside from selecting the name of the city, we also need to select the ID. So select ID, comma, name. And then let's check the database. Is there anything else that we want from the cities? Yes. Resources ID. Yes, resources ID. So ID, name, resources ID. So name, comma, resources underscore ID from cities. And then we need to, of course, attach the data. So let's create 2 more rows called city ID and city resources ID. And this guy is going to be the ID. This guy is going to be resources underscore ID. Pardon me. So now let's quickly echo this ID inside of the resources panel right over here. Open PHP, close PHP, make a little bit of room. Echo city resources ID semicolon. Let's go to the website. Let's check the database. It should be saying 2 right here, 2. That's great because now we can later on go check the resources table and cross-reference this number with the ID and then select the according planks or clay and food. You know, that's quite easy, right? That's quite easy. Okay, let's see. What else did we pull? Yeah, we pulled the city ID. So there's actually a second way to cross-reference with the resources table is with the city ID because we also pulled it right over here. Anyways, next episode, I want to display the amount of resources right here. And let's see, what else are we going to do? Let's actually finish the database next episode because there's a few things that aren't finished yet, like buildings and productions. There's no tables for that yet. So we will actually have to build those next episode because, well, otherwise it gets confusing because stuff isn't entirely finished. Also, something that's very important is currently we are creating these rows by hand. So the city row, the resources row, but later on we will have to change the registration file and make sure that the registration file builds the rows for new people. But we will do that later. Let's just make sure that the basis is working, and you know, if the basis is working, if everything is working manually, we can make sure that it works automatically. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys can follow it. It's a little bit more messy because the code is getting more advanced, so it's becoming a little bit more, harder to follow. So if it's too hard to follow, please let me know and I will slow down or change my approach. Just please let me know so that I can do something about it. So guys, I hope you guys found this video useful. And please go check out Rika's game. It's at, once again, it's at, oh, I closed it. arena.rika.se, and you will find it here. And you can play against me and we can beat each other with clubs or something. It really depends on what you are, what race you are. So anyways guys, thank you a lot for watching and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.